seconds.
So really, welcome to the session. And our focus is really on how do we unpack a challenge, whether it's your Masterpiece challenge, although we're focusing now on Masterpiece because it's the current season, or whether it's some of the teams are still doing superpowered celebration events. That's fine. If you're doing City Shaper challenge, that's fine. So this session is really to help you as coaches understand how do you unpack the rule book, the robot rule book. The robot rule book has got like, I think 15 or 16 missions. How do you choose from those missions which to do? A, and B, how do you put them into, we call it a strategy, but a strategy is how are you going to do them, each of these missions, and in what order, because you have to stay within the 150-second constraint of time per round, and then how to best score the most points. Okay. And so time and time again, when we come to the referee table and I'm watching teams and I'm thinking we could have just addressed this much earlier had the coach just spoken to us. And so we as a team have put together a whole lot of things that we have found helpful over the years with our teams, and not saying we have all the answers, but we really want to put together a checklist for you as the coaches to kind of have a better scoring robot team, that the team or that the robot then performs much better. To stand at a table during a match is really not the easiest. I will tell you now, I take my hat off to all the kids that come where there are teams, and they perform and you watch them and you think this is amazing, the teams are amazing, but it takes courage to come to a competition and to have a robot. What we don't want is a team to get so stressed out that their robot scores nothing and the team is not organized. So with that being said, make lists. If your team is a new team, let one kid who has a loud voice call out the missions. There's no cheating in this. There's just preparation. And the more prepared your team are, especially when they're a first or rookie year, the better. Okay, so at the moment, when a season starts, you're faced with a table, and I'll have the table with me next week. The whole table of like, where do we start? Yes, we know we start in base, but how do we start doing the missions? How do we start programming the missions? And to what end? How do we get to the points? Okay, so one of the ways that we really start with new teams is you look at your list of missions and you stand around the table and you get the team to identify which of the tables. And I know Angie mentioned last week, she said they put the little names on all the missions so that the learners understand what the missions are. The other one is to take the list and look at the verb and say, do we move forward? Do we move back? Do we fetch? Do we take? Do we drop? Do we push? Do we pull? So you look at the verbs. So that's one way of unpacking it. The other one is to know whether it's a high risk, which means it's probably more difficult, or a low risk, which means it's a little bit easier to do. So with that being said, Casper has put together a list. And Casper, don't give too many things away, but I'm going to give Casper, he's going to share his screen, and he's just going to explain to you, maybe just in 10 minutes, how to approach this list of 15 missions for a robot. Casper, are you ready?
Yes, Dr. Huss, I'm ready on my side.
You can share your screen and just go through the process of listing the missions. Sorry, thanks, Casper.
Thank you so much, Doctor. So hello, everybody. So for me, what I usually, it's a small thing that I do just to make my job easier to understand what the missions are, and for especially if somebody comes to me and asks me what type of missions and how to find those missions and how to analyze them. So the first thing I do is usually go to the resource menu, where all the resources are on the First Lego League. Then I go and I search for the game rulebook, and I find the one that I want to access. And after I've accessed it, it's now the time to start analyzing. Because the one thing is, in last few years, I've been a technical judge. When the learners come to you and they show you, and you start asking them what was their strategy, not a lot of teams give you that answer. And it's sometimes it's like there's 10 points that you lose just on not telling the judges what are your strategy or showing we just wanted to go from here to here, and we thought it will be better for us to do the following. So for me, the one way I thought of that was a good idea to do it is to start making a table. So by creating a Word document and just breaking the missions down into a few columns. So first thing is counting how many missions there are, and then saying what is that mission's name, because now I learned that mission's name and I know what is that mission's called, what is that specific mission called. Then I get the points. So any points to score on that mission, I have them and I have them in the table. Thus, I remember what is the scores. And especially for the learners, these two tables, these two columns are the most important ones that they will have to remember, especially when they go to the competition, are these two, the scoring conditions and what is that mission called. Otherwise, they're just going to say there, over there, and there, and this and that. So you want to help them build that vocabulary. And then if that mission has any extra scoring points, you also add it into this column here. I'll show you now an example when we go to the rulebook now. Then most important, what type of mission do we think it is? Because in the beginning of the season, we don't yet have the set yet, but we do have the documentation. So we can start to analyze it as we will do now. But now we can say, all right, this is going to be a push mission, just looking at the rule book and the video that was given. We can use it as a push, pull, drag, or drop, or we're going to need an arm or a special attachment to do the specific mission. Thus, we just say it in this column, what type of mission it is. And like Dr. Host said, what is the difficulty of that specific mission? So we can say it was an easy mission, it was a medium mission, it was a very hard mission. Or we can even say it in a terms of risk. It's going to be a very low risk mission, which will give us easy points that will help us get a high score. And thus we can do it. So we say it's low risk. And then in the comments area, we comment on what do we think about that mission. Will we be able to do it? Is it an easy mission or not? Or do we do it only if we have time or not? So those are the tables that I have to summarize all of the missions. Are we everybody good so far?
Thank you, Casper. Absolutely. Anybody got any questions? There's going to be a next step because the original or the first kind of step is really understanding what you have. And this table that Casper is presenting really gives each team member a good understanding of exactly what is required. And then you can take it. There's a next step, obviously, where we're going to divide and conquer. But for now, every team member needs to understand, and I cannot emphasize it more. As Casper said, their teams need to not refer to thingies and there and here and over there. We are trying to work and move towards a vocabulary, and so this is part of the process. Okay. Casper, do you want to continue?
Yes, Dr. House.
I don't see any questions. I just see my battery's getting low. So in case I lose you, then I'm just going to go plug in my phone quickly. Okay.
Okay. So this is one of those first steps that every team does at the beginning of season. After they watch the video, they go to the website where all the resources are available, and they download the game book. In this book, every single mission is explained, the scoring conditions, and anything that you need to know about, everything that you need to know about the missions are in this book. So we just scroll through it until we get to the page that we want. So again, the introduction to the entire game, how it works, the 4 parts. Then we just go down. So here is the table. The nice thing about the PDF format, it has interactive links within it. So if you press on one of these numbers here, it will take you to that specific mission. So you can know, all right, where's mission 1? I press on it, it goes to mission 1's details. And when you press on the mat, image, it will go straight to the mat yet again for you. So it's a nice way of getting you to interact more with the PDF version. While this will not work in real life, in real life you will have to, if you printed it out, you will have to page manually by hand. But yeah, so let me just go through again. Most important also are the guiding principles of the rule of the game. And one new thing that I've brought in for the last, I think, 3 seasons is especially the gradial professionalism, where the referees can grade the team if the team was mean to anybody. If they didn't display any of the core values, they can be deducted mark to a 2. They will always start with a 3 if not mistaken. And if the referees see they are helping people on the other side of the tables or helping somebody else, they can upgrade them to a 4 even. And then here's a place where we're going to start is mission 1. So for today, I'm going to help you guys analyze 2 of them, the first 2, and then the third one we're going to analyze together as a entire session. So the first thing is we read mission 1, cinema 3D. So thus we input it into our table by saying 3D cinema, and then we start to read what the mission is about. So the 3D technology adds depth and interactivity to a cinema experience and makes it more enjoyable. Triggered by 2D cinema screen to become a 3D experience. So there is our entire mission that we have to do. Is right there. Trigger the 2D cinema to become a 3D cinema. And then here are our scoring conditions. So our scoring conditions is if the red beams are completely to the right of the black frame, we will get 20 marks. So thus we go to our points area and we say 20 marks if the red beam is completely right of the black frame. That is our scoring conditions. Now we see there are no extra scoring conditions. There's only one scoring condition, which is 20 marks. So I can see this mission, especially, it can be one of a few ways. One, we can have an arm that presses down the levers, or we can even have a drive mission, where we go from the base straight over here, turn in the home area, and drive over the 2 main levers and release the dragon to the side, making it 3D. So that's another way. So thus, we can say there are 2 types. We can say arm, and we can say as a drive mission. That's the 2 types that I can speculate from my side to this mission will be. From a point of view, I think this mission will be for while using one of the robots that have attachments. It will be an easy mission, even with a Riley rover. So I just want to get the image here. So even with a Riley rover here, we will be able to do this mission. And even for the people with a driving base spike prime, we'll also be able, because of the robot being able to, we just have to change a few attachments, but it will be able to do that mission with ease. So thus we can say it's an easy mission.
Casper, I can also add, some team members might choose missions that they really want to do. And you can do exactly the same process that Casper's explaining. You don't need to start with mission 1 and move to mission 16. If your team wants to do mission 9, then they must do mission 9. There's no order to this. Okay. Yes. Sorry, Casper, you can continue. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Doctor. So yeah, like I said, let me say what type of mission it is and the difficulty, and then we say a comment. So a comment is 20 points with low risk and it's a low risk mission. So it means the mission is easy to do, and we were able to get 20 marks if we are able to just change the robot slightly and program it correctly. So as like I said, now we have the name of the robot mission. We have the scoring conditions and the points that we can get from that mission. What type, how difficult it is to do the mission, and also a small comment on doing the mission. So are there any questions so far on trying to analyze the mission like in this format? Yes, Amri?
What about looking at how easy it is to reach that specific mission? Should one not analyze that as well? Because sometimes there's mission pieces that's in the way or that might impact if the robot touches something else. For example, this one you can easily get to and get back to base. So it is almost a guaranteed score.
Yes. So for example, yeah, because here is mission 1. So thank you for bringing up this part here. So with this mission, it is easy enough to get to the mission because of it's going straight. And we can even now that specific part, we can add it as a comment and say it will be easy to get to the mission and it will be fast, because that one actually comes back to the other part of the document where we go and we talk about the strategy on time. How long will it take us to do a specific mission? So maybe I'll go down a little bit. So for example, here, what is the estimated time that we will need to do a specific mission? And then when we finally get the mission set, we can say, how long did it take us to do that specific mission? And were there any other complications within that doing the mission? And what was the difficulty in doing that mission? I don't know, does that help a little bit? Okay. Then are there any other questions? Okay. Then I'm going to move over to mission 2. Here we go. So mission 2 is the theater scene change. So this is one of the little bit more difficult missions in the sense of you are going to need to have a sort of attachment that is going to need to be able to push down the lever here. So let's first start again with what is the mission. So mechanical technology can support a theater performance by seamlessly changing the scenery, keeping the audience focused on the story. So here is the mission that we have to do. Change the scenery to a different configuration and consider what the other team will do so that you can end with a matching scene at the end of the game. So this is one of those missions that has a secondary points. So it has extra points. That's one of the first things you can identify just by reading this table right here, this paragraph here. So let's start from the beginning. We have the name, theater scene change. What are the scoring conditions? So the first one is for a blue stage, we get 10 points. For a pink stage, we get 20 points. And then lastly, for orange stage, we get 30 points. So those are our 3 scoring position points that we can get at the end of the game. Now there is now the bonus one. Bonus if both teams' active scenes match. So if both of the scenes are the same, we can get one of the following. So if both scenes are blue, we can get 20 marks. So I'm just going to copy this. So if both scenes are blue, 20 points will be added to your initial total, bringing it to 30 points. If it is both of them are pink, then we get altogether 30 points. And here's now the funny part. If ours is orange and our neighbors are orange also, we only get 10 points extra each. So it's almost like it's going to be better for you to go with the pink than it is for you to go with the orange, because if both teams go for pink, they will have 50 points. They'll each receive 50 points to their score. Whereas if they both go for orange, they will only get 40 points. So thus it's 10 points less, but that's not one of the constraints that we can add as a comment. So just go and see which one will be easier for you to reach and which one, or do we want to go and sacrifice those 10 points that we can get because of us going for, because the thing is also, if the other team doesn't go and decides on pink, not both of us will get to the same marks. So it's also one of those constraints that we have to look at. At first, the type of mission, because of the arm that needs to go, because it needs to go up and down here, we are going to need to devise a way to bring it down. So one of the main ways to do it is to use an arm attachment. So as we can say, an arm attachment, which means it is going to be an active attachment. The difficulty of this mission, if we look at where it is on the board, it is just from the base straight up. We can use even a sensor to position ourselves with the line, to go forward and then press down the button as many times as we want to. So thus it is I would say, easy to medium mission, because of it's easy to drive here, but where the difficulty comes in is trying to find which configuration will work better for our team and which configuration will give us the most point without losing more points. So we can say for difficulty, easy to medium. Medium.
Can I just interrupt you here, Casper?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so the easy and the difficult is also where your team is. And I would really encourage you, as Casper was saying, this might be easy. It might be easy for an experienced team. It might be a little bit more difficult for a new team. Okay, so be kind to your teams. Maybe let them choose one or two missions. Maybe don't do the missions that Casper's explained to you, but maybe do. Can I ask that everybody does at least one of these missions with their team in the way that Casper's now explained it? Choose a mission and then unpack it on this document.
Yes, Dr. Gous, and one of the fun things about this method is you don't have to put it in a Word format. You can even give them a piece of paper and tell them, write down what you think, because that's one of the main things of a competition. If you go and working as a team, is if everybody writes down what they think, they create a entire it creates an entire word cloud almost, where you can see this is how everybody is thinking, and you can bring all of those ideas together as a team. So that also promotes more teamwork and more critical problem solving skills that they need.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Casper. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate your efforts. And now it's kind of like over to you, coaches. I really want you to kind of try and explore one of these missions. I think, Casper, maybe next week we will have more questions. If everybody can just explore at least one mission and try this method and kind of give us feedback and say how it's helped the team and the team members to understand the challenge. All right.
Yes.
And then of course how to then once you've deciphered into this table, how then to program it and how to score it and how to build the attachments relevant to the actual mission. All right. I'm going to ask, are there any more questions? Any questions? Is it clear to everybody? Do we have to explain a little bit more? Is there enough to go on that we can come back next week and then we can tackle the next part of unpacking the challenge? Anybody? I don't see any hands, Casper.
Dr. Gous, maybe just a comment.
Yes,
This
go
is a
for it, Elmarie.
nice core values exercise as well, because the team needs to learn to talk to the other team before the match.
Absolutely.
Can you do this? And can we do this? To what point can you do it? And agree on, we will go up until that point, or we're not going to worry about this one because you cannot do it, so we can continue to the points we can.
Yes.
Hit the nail on the head. Absolutely, Elmarie. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. And especially, like I just said, you have to think of which scene we're going to score as. And we can even add there to say, and like Elmarie just said, we can say which we need to talk to the team beforehand, before the game starts. Which are we going to do?
Exactly. Exactly. Sure. This has been a quite a loaded session. Casper, thank you for all your preparation. Thank you for all the comments as well. It has been very necessary, and we're really aiming to have more prepared teams in the competition, in the celebration events and in the regionals. So if you have any comments to add, please bring them next Friday. You're also welcome to email it to us, and we will kind of present it as part of the session next week. But next week we will then taking this layout. So we're going from rule book, we go via this worksheet, then we go to what are the programs required, what are the attachments required, and then we pull it all together. The importance of scoring after every session is hugely stressed, and that aids to getting an efficient strategy of getting your robot to the optimal points. All right.
And Dr. Gous, there's one important thing I want to maybe just add on this.
Yes.
When a team comes to the technical judges, bring any of all these documents where they just make scribbles of all of these ideas that they have of what are these missions and how are we going to go. Just bring all of that. Just take some of those papers that they have and just show the judges, because that shows them they started with this idea and they've progressed from this idea to the final strategy. It's like an artist that has a piece of marble and starts to create a beautiful statue out of it. We want to see the procedure of the process.
The process, absolutely. All right, lot of thinking about it. Hope you all get time to watch the video again. But I thank you, everybody. I thank you for attending. Bring your questions, and then we'll meet again next week. Then we're going to go from this first process. We're going to go then to how do you write the programs and how do you decide on the attachments, and then how do you put everything into a strategy. All right. Thank you, everybody. Casper, you won't forget to stop the recording. I really appreciate it. Let's have nice, strong teams, especially as we're coming towards the Africa Open Championships. We would like teams that can qualify. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And greetings from Cape Town. Thank you, Casper, from Pretoria.
And thank you, everybody,
for the regionals. Absolutely. So just as a note, Elmarie will be at KZN. Elmarie, am I right? Elmarie's at KZN, and I'm coming